can find us on social media if you want to have a conversation. We're on Facebook. We've got a page and a group, so like the page and join the group.
Yep.
Yeah. You can find us on Twitter. We are Thinking Sideways. So much fun stuff there. We also have a subreddit, and it's just Thinking Sideways. You can email us as well. We are thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. You can buy merchandise if you want. We have some pretty cool stuff. There's links on the sidebar, mugs, stuff like that.
T-shirts,
yeah.
The Thinking Sideways Murder Kit.
That's perfect.
Thinking Sideways Serial Killer's Manual.
That Joe's been working on for the last 30 years of his life.
It's written in very tight handwritten script, so it's a little hard to read.
A lot of stuff
packed into those 5 pages.
Yeah, it's true. All of
diagrams,
all of that having been said, I think we're going to get out of here.
All right. Well, till next week, au revoir.
So we have got to work on that guardrail for the state that you can't pitch a body over.
I don't think it's going to happen.
We really need to patent that.
I don't think it's going to happen.
They'll just go to a road that doesn't have guardrails.
True.
Bully.
Bye, guys.
Not too loop.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a slide.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Hey, guys. Welcome to an episode of Steve Makes a Weird Face, the podcast.
I don't think that's the name of the show.
We should rename it that, probably.
Steve make the weird face?
Yeah.
I do constantly. I can't help
Literally
this.
constantly. Yeah.
We'll have to build up our listenership again.
Right.
That's going to take a long time.
Just kidding. This is Thinking Sideways, the podcast. I'm Devin, joined most weeks by
Joe.
And Steve.
Steve makes a funny face. This week, we're going to talk about a mystery that is a little bit associated with the mystery we've already talked about. That would be the Mothman.
Except this one is scarier.
This one's better. No? I mean, I think the stories are better.
True. Yeah. I'll give you that.
Thank you for giving that to me. Yeah. This week, you probably know we're going to talk about the Grinning Man, who it turns out a surprising number of people don't know about.
I didn't know about the Grinning Man ahead of time.
I didn't either.
Every time I'm like, oh yeah, the Grinning Man, people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, oh, that's my story.
Okay, is that it?
End of episode.
Okay, roll the credits.
No,
but
okay.
He also had a name.
He did. He may have been called Indrid Cold. He could have also maybe been called Ingrid Cold.
I was saw it as Indrid.
I saw it as Indrid 90% of the places, but I did see Ingrid every once in a while, so I thought I'd throw it in there just in cases.
Yeah, that's probably
typo.
Autocorrect.
I hope so, but
he only told his name to one person.
Only
right?
one person.
Yeah.
And it was Indrid in that one. But
which makes me think that Ingrid is a typo.
I would assume so, but you know how these things go. It's always
I do.
We got to throw it all in.
We do.
So the Grinning Man is described as, quote, well over 6 feet tall, totally bald, with black beady eyes that are set a little too far apart. He most often is said to wear a shiny green or metallic suit or overalls and is staring in your window right now. Look, now. Just kidding. Probably. Maybe.
My hand was my 9.
Don't look. Hope it's not nighttime where you are. People who have met or seen the Grinning Man are often so taken aback that they can't say for certain if he has ears or a nose. Because what they notice, as you might guess from his name, is the smile.
Yeah, scary, huge smile.
Yeah, like very uncomfortably large
like
smile.
a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, I don't necessarily get the sense that it's like, an extra large mouth or anything. It's not an actual ear to ear. But did you guys watch Buffy ever?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Do
did
you
once or
remember
twice.
the absolute best episode of all Buffy canon, which is called Hush?
I actually did see that.
Which one is that
It's the one where it's completely silent. All of the voices get taken away by those creepy, terrifying guys who float around and smile constantly.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
It's a really, really good. It's
I
would
somebody
say
made me watch that one once.
by far the best episode of Buffy to ever exist. Go out, check it out.
I was really impressed with the musical episode.
Yeah, that was a good one. This one's better.
Well, even better, huh?
No, I think that's the way I kind of picture the smiles of being not inhuman, but uncomfortably large.
And fixed.
Fixed. Constant. Yeah. They have, his skin may be kind of grayish, maybe tannish, maybe greenish. Certainly not a supernatural healthy color. Not supernatural, but very natural.
Yeah, but people always saw
healthy
it.
Color.
They only ever saw him at night.
At
right?
night, yeah. So it's harder to tell. I think it's like a pallid tone, whatever it is, would be the way I would describe it.
All right.
Apparently sometimes he maybe wore a black belt.
Well, fashion is important.
Right. Well, so when he wore overalls or coveralls, he was maybe wearing a black belt. Probably not wearing a black belt with the suit that you would notice necessarily.
True. Yeah,
okay.
jacket would get in the way.
Yeah, it would. He apparently sometimes communicates telepathically with the people he encounters. I think I only heard about that happening once. I don't know if you guys encountered it anywhere else.
No,
but it was
I
just
didn't.
That once.
That's the only one I saw.
Yeah,
and that
which
was,
is where we get the name Ingrid Cold. And he was seen at Point Pleasant.
West Virginia?
Yeah, West Virginia. And if you'll remember correctly, that's where Mothman was seen.
Was he seen
Made his debut.
Made his debut.
Was he seen at Point Pleasant or near, like, not too far
Like
from...
very close to
Yeah,
Point
like 20
Pleasant.
miles away, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So he's the Mothman's sidekick.
Or just the Mothman himself.
Or maybe the Mothman's boss.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
supervisor.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe Mothman is his pet. He was just taking him out for a walk and he got off leash somehow.
Yeah.
What if he's like, the Mothman collector, the catcher, like the dog catcher?
Oh, yeah.
So he's always there because he's always chasing him.
Well, actually,
Could
we'll
be.
touch on that a little bit in a minute.
Oh.
Because one of the theories kind of plays into that.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna, in this episode, it's gonna be one of those ones where we kind of tell stories. It's less theory-based, more story-based, in stark contrast to like last week, where it was like almost,
Entirely theory based.
yeah, almost entirely theory-based.
Sorry about that.
Nah, it's not your fault.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
mine.
It's
I know.
Steve's fault. He made us watch that horrible movie.
Again,
Again.
and again.
I
Red Rum!
I think it's a pretty good movie myself. But we disagree on that. Red Rum.
You didn't think I could make that voice, did you?
No!
Well,
That was legitimately terrifying.
Sorry. When you're ready, we'll get back on track.
yeah. Let's. We got an important mystery to solve here.
Okay, now that we've taken a pause to recover, the editing might be a little weird there because we were cracking up. Sorry, guys. Let's tell this story. I'm going to start by telling the story of the first maybe documented sighting of the Grinning Man.
And would you say this is the standard version, or is this the official version, standard version, A version? Like, how would you
I
classify
would say it's A version. It's the thinking sideways version. It's the kind of thing that we all kind of do where we search out the most authentic documents, but also mix in the accepted lore.
I just want, because sometimes we do, it's this is exactly what we're told it is. So just want to clarify that.
Yeah, this is kind of the general telling of this story.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm sure it's accurate.
So we're going to tell this story, and then I want to tell you about the story that made me interested in the Grinning Man years and years ago. That was my first point of contact for even hearing about the Grinning Man. It was at least 3 years ago, and we'll talk about that in a second. 2 kids. In
dark
October
stormy night.
11, 1966, 2 kids.
Yeah.
2 boys, James and Marvin.
And she's not
was
telling you
the-
their last names because they're unpronounceable. And
They have like 5 names. It's fine. No, James and Marvin, because this is the 1960s and somebody named their child Marvin like a jerk. I'm sorry.
that was an okay name back in those days,
It was
I
a
guess.
pretty good name. It's an old dude name now, but
What,
it was a good
Because
name.
they're old dudes now.
Yeah, that's true. So
Any idea how old these kids were?
they were
Teenagers.
they weren't.
Oh, they were teenagers,
I thought they
okay.
were like early teenagers though.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
not-
like 17, 18.
No, not
like
out rabble-rousing
14,
teenagers,
15.
but barely teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Young tweens and teens.
All right.
They lived in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and they were walking home from, if I recall correctly, some kind of mischief. In the first reading of these stories that I did years and years ago, I distinctly remember it being included in the stories that, like, they were out creating mischief and they were walking home from and that.
Does it involve toilet paper?
I wasn't able to find that again, though, so it could be my misremembering. They were walking home along 4th Street, which Joe may or may not have Google Street Viewed.
No, actually I didn't.
Oh, he didn't go.
Yeah, I was busy.
The road runs near the turnpike, and as they arrived at a fairly treacherous part of the journey along a fence that kind of went past the turnpike, so there was the fence, and then there was this huge hill, and then the turnpike. As they were walking along it...
Is the turnpike at this place, is it below the ground level of
Yeah.
this? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was a very, very steep incline, so steep, in fact, that almost everybody agrees that it's unclimbable from the turnpike, that it would be impossible for whoever these boys saw to have climbed up from the turnpike. Apparently nobody had really ever been seen on the other side of that fence.
Well, it would make sense.
Right, because it was, like, impassable. And who would be dumb enough to climb the fence just to, like, be on an impassable incline, basically?
Yeah.
Right?
Or to climb up that grade, yeah.
Yeah. So the boys were, the story's always really dramatically told. They were, like, passing in between pools of light.
Yeah.
They were walking along a fence, you guys.
Okay.
And they paused to catch their breath. I don't know if they were, like, ridiculously out of shape. They weren't. The
They're
reports don't
teenage
say
boys,
they were running.
one had to pee.
Yeah, I would guess. One had to pee. And I believe it was James looked at Marvin, who was peeing apparently totally facing him. Because his back was to the fence.
And he said, "Why are my feet wet?"
Yeah, really. And said, "Who's that behind you?" And they turn around, and there's a man standing on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, where should
Classic trope.
Yeah, of course. And now they were already a little on edge because somehow, I don't know how, they had heard rumors of that night one of the women in the neighborhood being chased by a, quote, tall green man. I don't know how they heard that, but okay.
Yeah.
It's the grapevine.
I guess the grapevine moved way more quickly than I anticipate in the 60s, I guess.
Apparently, but at this time they saw this guy, it was about 9:45, right?
It was about 9:45,
So
yeah.
word got around really fast.
So I guess, yeah. They described this guy that they saw as, quote, the strangest guy we've ever seen. He was the biggest man I ever saw. And about 3 days later, this guy...
An ufologist.
An ufologist.
Yes, my favorite ufologist.
John Keel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He somehow heard that they had seen this guy and showed up and interviewed them.
In 3 days.
In 3 days later, yeah.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah. And here's what Keel wrote about the interview. I don't think he actually quotes them or anything, so this is a quote from him talking about his interview with them. Quote, "The man was over 6 feet tall, they agreed, and was dressed in a sparkling green coverall costume that shimmered and seemed to reflect the streetlights. There was a wide black belt around his waist. He was very dark complexion, with little round eyes, real beady, set far apart. They could not remember seeing any hair, ears, nose on this figure."
Creepy.
Yeah.
They don't remember that because as soon as they saw him, they ran like little girls.
Well, they saw the grin, and then they were like, maybe just we're getting out of here, bye. Yeah.
Of course.
So yeah, ran.
Of course,
like,
Halloween was like 20 days away.
Yeah, it was pretty close. Apparently, there were reports of UFO sightings at, quote, exactly the same time, 40 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to hit like a little interesting spot, so we'll just talk about this real quick. Steve's already super annoyed. He hates it when we talk about UFOs at all. Small diversions. You guys know about the Men in Black,
Yes.
right?
Now the Men in Black, these are different
Like, not
than
the movie.
different than the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no Will Smith.
No Will Smith.
Tommy Lee Jones?
No. Sorry.
What about the pug? The dog?
No.
Oh, dude.
Definitely not the pug.
Well, so the
I mean, and then you are aware that, like, some descriptions have these quote-unquote men not being men?
they're like aliens,
Humanoid aliens?
but they're wearing black.
Beings in black? B.I.B.s?
Yeah, maybe.
They're bibs?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
bibs. They're most often described as unusually pale, most often with no eyebrows, no hair, no facial hair. One site I did see described them as at once being pale complexioned and swarthy, so I'm not totally sure how that...
That doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't,
It really
doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they were spotted.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Some reports say that the men in black speak with weird accents. Some say they communicate in weird giggling noises.
Okay. Like Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, exactly like that.
So they're men in black.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in the spot, it's, that part of the episode again already where Steve makes weird faces. He doesn't like this, apparently.
It's Keel. Keel drives me bonkers with his
fair.
sightings.
But the men in black were also seen in...
in October of 1966, there was a rash of sightings of UFOs, men in black, and then also the Grinning Man in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And the surrounding areas, but in New Jersey. There are even some alleged pictures of the sightings of men in black.
But nobody actually has a copy?
Well, no, actually I looked at them online, and it's just hard to tell because it's 1966, so it's not like it's the highest definition picture. And then dudes wore black suits a lot in those days, and the fedoras. So, you catch a picture of a dude lurking in... from a slightly far distance. He's kind of standing in a doorway. You take a picture of it, what are you going to get?
At night?
Well, no, it was during the day.
Oh, during the day?
Yeah, men in black do go out in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to find any actual reports of the actual UFO sightings that happened in October of 1966 in New Jersey.
So did you check the papers?
I did not check the papers, but I checked a lot of different websites, but... more than one site did refer to 1966 as the year of UFO sightings. So it's not nothing.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about this now or in the theory section?
You can talk about it now. Let's talk about it now. Oh, the Black Book. No!
Here's my problem with this whole thing. For this story of the Grinning Man, I know we have more story to go.
Yeah.
But in this original one, and I'm using air quotes when I say original, Keel's the only one. He's the only source, and he's the one who says that there were all these UFO sightings, and one of the places that he loves to talk about is the NICAP, which is the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena. They're the ones who track UFOs. That was their big thing not nearly as active, but their archives are online, and there was UFO sightings in the area every day. So I went through the prior month and then the month after in 1966. And there's like 3 a month. And most of the sightings are all over the map. So I question this just because this one thing that he's making such a big deal of turns out to be absolutely, completely wrong by an organization that tracks that.
So in other words, there were 3 in that whole time period and none of them were in New Jersey?
No. In New Jersey, there was 3. There's
okay.
tons and tons and tons in the month of and each month in 1966, but they're all over the world. They're everywhere. So it's not as if it was New Jersey, the month of October, 1966. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
There was a couple of them, but they were in New Jersey all town.
Yeah.
So that really, really, I have a problem with him being the only source and then him making claims that are provably wrong.
I agree.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think we mentioned, if you aren't familiar, if you didn't listen to the Mothman episode or you just don't know, John Keel, who we're talking about right now, is the author of the Mothman Prophecies. That's his most famous work. He's an author. On top of that, he also was a fictional screenwriter for horror movies for a really long time. So that's interesting.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So.
Well, and he wrote, I can't remember the name of his book before the Mothman Prophecies, but
he's written
Mothman
a lot of books.
First showed up in a book of strange stories. That's not the name, but that might as well be the name. And the Mothman got, I think it was all of chapter 14, and several chapters before, he briefly mentions the Grinning Man.
Yeah.
And what we read, in what you just read and you see all the internet, is directly taken from that.
Yeah.
There is no other source for the story of Marvin and James.
Yeah.
They're nowhere else.
Yeah. That's usually the way these things work.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, often.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, back to the
Sorry, I'll get off my
No,
soapbox
no, no,
now.
no, that's fine. That's great. I love that, and it's going to make the theory section go even faster.
Yeah, but this story you were going to read us, when are you going to read it to us?
We're there right now, actually.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Sweet.
There's this story on Reddit.
Oh, that one. That's a creepy one.
Good
It
bedtime
is.
story.
It first appeared on the subreddit Let's Not